is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. We have a trader, blogger, consultant, Tone Vays, coming in from Manhattan, New York City, right near one of the bellies of the beast. He's a prior Wall Street, actually still is involved in Wall Street, but he's worked for Lehman Brothers, JP Morgan, no, was it Lehman Brothers or Bear Stearns?
It was Bear Stearns. Not close enough. They both collapsed within a few weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Right after Kramer's famous call that it wouldn't collapse, so that was interesting. And the interesting thing about Tone is that he's gotten really into Bitcoin over the last few years. And he's got a really interesting story about how he got into it. It's unlike any that I've heard before. Really interesting stuff. And he's been speaking at numerous Bitcoin conferences ever since. He's been all around the world speaking at conferences. And he'll also be here at Acapulco speaking on Bitcoin. But before we get into all that, Tone, I have to ask you, how did you become a narco-capitalist?
It was a very slow transition. I didn't even study any business in undergrad. I was a math and geology major. High school teacher for about a year. Did not like that at all. Went to grad school, chose a major, financial engineering. I was technical, good at math. And my friends from undergrad that ended up being finance majors coming out in the early to mid 2000s, they were doing well, making some money. Meanwhile, I'm a high school teacher. I'm like, all right, what can I do? So I went and got a degree in financial engineering and got a job on Wall Street, and not a quant, need a PhD for that. But I sit next to quants. I do similar stuff. Not a big fan of programming. And it takes years to relearn the economics that people teach you all around you. Even the guys here, just Keynesian, monetarist, it takes a while. So it was a slow transition. You find the right bloggers like Mish and Martin Armstrong, and you slowly start to understand what money really is.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of got into the system of Austrian economics and sound money.
Yeah, and sound money, of course, isn't the Federal Reserve notes.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Anything the government's involved with is never good. And so, yeah, you're big into finance and things like that. So tell us a little bit about how you went from being in high finance on Wall Street into discovering Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting. I first heard about it when WikiLeaks first started accepting it as payment. I didn't really think anything of it. I believe that was early 2011. I just heard about it, ignored it. Then in 2012, early 2012, I'm like, all right, let me Google this again. Took a look at it, Googled it. Everything that came up was mining. And well, Wall Street, you know, you're busy, you're working 10-hour days. I'm like, oh, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to be mining this stuff. So again, I just brushed it off. And then, you know, listen to a few episodes of Max Kaiser and having him talk about it every single day. And I'm like, all right, 2013 is coming around. I'm like, all right, let me Google this again. I Google it, and the first hit is local Bitcoins. And I just said, oh, damn, you mean I can just buy this stuff? I can just find the person? Like, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a single friend with a Bitcoin. No one at my job has cared about it. So found the person at local Bitcoins. This is going into that April bubble back in 2013, the whole Cyprus event. I met up some guy, coffee shop, you know, gave him a few $100. It was like the weirdest thing ever. You know, being in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, picked up a couple of Bitcoins. Was interesting. Again, still didn't know anyone. That whole exponential rise is happening, picked up a little more, and that's it. And then after it crashed from 260 to 50, I once again kind of forgot about it because I didn't know anyone. Months go by, I couldn't even get in touch with the same guy that I got him from. And I still don't know anyone in Bitcoin. I don't have time to go to meetups. And then for like a good 8 months, I was just, you know, completely ignored it. And then early 2014, New York City Bitcoin Center opens up right down the street from my job. Took a walk over there after work one day. After a month or so, they've been open. Met a couple of cool people. New York Bitcoin Conference was coming around, April 2014. So I started my blog right before the conference. I'm like, all right, I don't want to give out my work business cards. Let me create a blog and I'll give out my business cards. Created a little alias, Tone Vays, which is very similar to my real name. I don't know what this is going to be like. Went there, met unbelievable people, asked really good questions to the speakers. And after that, it kind of took off. Cointelegraph, one of the big publications, they were just starting out. They took a look at my blog. I got an email or a call from their editor-in-chief, said, hey, why don't you write for us instead of your blog? You get more readership. Then I spoke to the same organizers of the New York conference inside Bitcoins. And my company has a little office in Hong Kong. And I was like, oh, I can go to my office in Hong Kong, don't have to take too many off days. There is a Bitcoin conference there. And that was my first speaking event at a Bitcoin conference. And again, that worked out well. I was invited to speak in New Zealand. I was invited to speak in Vegas earlier in October of this year at BitAngels conference, also inside Bitcoins. Kind of took off from there. I just came back from Miami. It is great. I love it. I love writing about it. I love what it's about. And I mostly write about the trading side of it. I have a column with technical analysis. I'm trying to teach people about trading, understand what it is. Always tell them never to risk more than 10% of their holdings. Constantly try to explain to people not to trust third parties. Only invest what you're willing to lose. You should be holding on to your own private keys. All right, I think that's good for my intro. I can keep going forever. So.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And that's one thing we haven't really talked too much about on Anarchast is the whole trading aspect of Bitcoin. I think that's very interesting. If anyone's interested in trading anything, you have to look into the cryptocurrency market. It's just ripe with trading opportunities and arbitrage between different exchanges and things like that. And of course, you come from this entire background. We're going to have so many people, interesting people like yourself at Acapulco. So you come from this Wall Street background, so you really understand all this technical trading and all the quant, as you mentioned, all these like quants and all these crazy math people doing all these things, and you're probably bringing some of that into Bitcoin trading. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm not too technical on the quant side. I work with quants. I don't really want to do what they do. It involves a lot of programming. I've studied programming. I should be doing that. I'm just not a big fan of it. I like patterns. My brain picks up patterns. We all do. And I trade more that way. I don't have algorithmic algorithmic traders doing arbitrage. I know people that do that. I also don't have time for that. I treat trading more as fun. It's more of an interest. If I was to trade full time, I would probably still trade the traditional markets. I prefer the futures markets, oil, gold, silver, S&P futures, because they're very liquid markets. Trading Bitcoin is very, very risky, and I always cringe when I hear people trading it for a living. I don't want to say there is manipulation, but there easily could be because it's such an illiquid market. So anyone with a big enough position can just pick and choose what they want to do. So I strongly advise people not to bet their life savings and try to trade this volatile asset. On the flip side, it's an awesome way to just learn trading. And the reason is you can do it in very small quantities, and you also don't have this regulatory insanity. If you're not a trader, it'll take you almost a month to open a trading account. It's like a ton of paperwork. And then if you want to trade anything like futures or options, something more advanced, you got to fill out paperwork. You got to either lie to them that you've done it before. It's like one of those things. Well, we'll let you trade futures if you answer the following questions. What's your experience in trading futures? And if you say none, they might say no. So it's like silly. So how are you supposed to learn? And then you have all this tax stuff. It's like, yeah, I want to trade with $100 or $200. I don't want to fill out another tax form. And this is the beauty of it. So I always tell people, you want to learn trading, you want to practice a little bit? Yeah, invest $200, $300, and put on micro positions just to get the hang of it. And it's real money, and it's and you're at stake. You care. It's like people always ask me, oh, people think I trade for a living. I don't. I write like I do. but I trade for fun. But because I always put on the same the positions that I write about, if I think Bitcoin is going to go up next week, that's exactly what I'm going to tweet. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's just that I'm not going to bet my life on it. I trade for fun. So I will have a position, something very small and reasonable, just so my skin is also in the game. I hate being a hypocrite. I just also tell people, no, I don't do it for a living yet, because it's hard to give up a decent job. I'm probably going to be moving to the crypto space soon. There's a couple of offers I'm entertaining, but at the moment I do like trading, but I do it for fun. Some people do it for a living, but I just like doing it for fun.
What's your take on Bitcoin right now? It's, of course, gone through a really interesting period over the last few weeks. It did almost like a spike low down near to close to 150, which actually about a year ago I said I see that as being the potential total bottom if it were to go down that far. I think that's the furthest it would go. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on what you think about Bitcoin right now.
It's really difficult to call a bottom far out. It's not always how low it got, it's also how it got there and how it got out of it. So about October, when we had the whole bear whale situation and we crashed down to 275 and bounced back, many people called that the bottom, and it looked like a nice spike and reversal. And even back then, I was 50-50. I didn't want to call it, I was 50-50. When we came lower than that and hit 255 about maybe a little less than a month ago, I was very adamant that that is not the bottom and we are going lower. Now that we went lower and spiked down to 266 on Bitfinex and bounced back, I would say quite nicely. I am a little more, right now I just texted one of my trader friends, and I'm leaning 60% that we did hit bottom. But again, it's not something I'm willing to call quite yet. My current outcome is a bounce to about 250 and then probably some downside. And that's when it gets interesting. If we do get to the area of 250, which is my current position, looking for a bounce to 250, after that I'm expecting a reversal and more downside. How that downside plays out is important. If that downside comes back down to about 200 and reverses again, I would be pretty confident that the bottom at 166 is in. If we reverse at 250 and we start to go down and we start going under 200, then we can see something as low as 100.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's very volatile, and I've never said it isn't volatile. I've always said it's volatile, and for the same reasons that you brought up, that it's such a small market. Anything can really affect it. Any sort of big announcement of some large company starting to use it in the past has affected, and of course, things that happen in the financial and monetary market affected, like Cyprus did last year, where all of a sudden Cyprus did a bank bail-in and took everyone's money out of their bank accounts and closed all the ATM machines, which really caused a lot of interest in Bitcoin, and I think we're going to see a lot more monetary and financial problems in the year ahead, so that could be very interesting as well. What's your take on the overall markets, including oil, which is very interesting right now, having gone down more than 50% in the last 3 months?
Yeah, oil is a very interesting situation, and everyone is always quick to blame manipulation. And in every market, everyone is quick to blame manipulation. And what people have to understand is, yes, these big financial institutions, they can manipulate gold, they can manipulate oil, they can manipulate any market, but they cannot manipulate it against the overall global trend. So now that oil is going down, they can manipulate it perhaps a little lower than it should. But same thing with gold. There's no way that they would be manipulating gold for 3 or 4 years. People just lost interest. Same thing with Bitcoin. I don't see it as manipulation that we're going down at all. Yes, traders can spike it down. They can probably manipulate it, but they're manipulating it within the trend, and the current trend is still down. The problem with Bitcoin, I'll get to oil in 1 second, is that 2013 was just an insane year. And as a lot of us bought the Kool-Aid thinking it's a new paradigm, it's not. a new paradigm. And I wanted to see it go higher. We all did. But it got way out of control. We still don't know what kind of a real effect Mt. Gox had with their Willy bot and some of the other things that were going on. People weren't selling at the time thinking it's going to 10,000. So if no one is selling and new people want to buy, it will go up disproportionately. So it just got way out of control in 2013, and now it's coming down to earth a little bit. And it will stabilize, and I still think the future for Bitcoin is bright. And as for oil, the global economy is slowing down. Europe is a major disaster. Cyprus, that was just a preview. And I've written about this in my articles. The best user case for Bitcoin, in my opinion, is safety. And it's political safety. And it's tax safety. Because as these advanced socialist countries, and I put US in there and Canada and everybody in Europe, when these countries are really struggling financially, they start to go after every single penny of people's revenue. And the user case isn't Cyprus. When Cyprus banks close, people care about food. They don't care about Bitcoin. So when Italian banks close, people in Italy are going to be on the streets trying to buy food, trying to make sure they have shelter, trying to make sure they have heat if it's the winter, even though it's a pretty warm country. They're not going to be the user case for Bitcoin. But if Italy is going through monster financial trouble with their banks, it's the Spanish and the French and the Portuguese that might say, hey, you know what? That might be us in a month. And those are the people that I believe will start to drive the next Bitcoin move. But I don't see this happening till closer to the end of the year. So having Bitcoin hitting a low of 166 this early in the year bothers me a little bit. It's hitting my potential downward low targets for a reversal, price-wise, but not time-wise. I would have much rather see the current situation going into the summer, not in the middle of the winter.
Interesting. Yeah, there's so many things going on. Of course, the Swiss franc just unpegged their currency from the euro, causing a major spike in the Swiss franc, which is where we still don't even know all the ramifications of that, although many exchanges, currency and future exchanges, went bankrupt overnight on that. So it's a wild and woolly market out there, and that's why I also agree that Bitcoin is just important for safety in general, to have some of your money in Bitcoin, some of your assets, not a tremendously large amount, but at least some, so that if things get really crazy out there and exchanges start to go bankrupt and currencies collapse and banks close, you have some options.
Oh, no, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, everyone should have a few, gold's still kind of expensive for most people, but try to find a way to buy 1 or 2 gold coins, cost you a few $1,000s. Definitely have a few dozen silver coins and have them in your possession. I mean, holding the ETFs on this stuff it might be meaningless. You should always have a few silver coins, 1 or 2 gold coins, and you have to have Bitcoin just as a reserve. I like traveling. Like when I travel, I was in New Zealand. It was I ran into Jeffrey Tucker at the airport, and we were splitting a cab to the hotel. And as he's paying the cab driver with his credit card, I'm like, yeah, I'll split that with you. So while he's paying the cab driver with a credit card, I'm paying him half the fee with Bitcoin from my cell phone to his. And that transaction was quicker than him paying the cab driver, who was very, very impressed.
Yeah, no, it's excellent for using it for all those sort of things. And of course, with Bitcoin now, you can almost use it for almost anything that you want, really. You can buy hotels anywhere in the world through Expedia.com using Bitcoin. There's sites where you can buy airline, you can buy your flights with Bitcoin. There's so many other things like that you can buy through Overstock.com, almost anything, and all kinds of anything tech related you can buy with Bitcoin. So it is very useful, and is actually starting to become like a real currency. So as these things progress, it's very important for people to get into it. So that's why it's really great that you're coming down to Acapulco. You're going to be talking about it from a different angle than many other people, because many of the people that are into Bitcoin haven't never worked on Wall Street. They actually hate Wall Street. They hate the Federal Reserve. They hate the government. And so you're coming at it from a little bit of a different angle. You've been coming from inside that system, but still realizing the potential of Bitcoin. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you plan to talk about down here, and anything else you want to finish off with. Let us know your blog address and anything else you have, your Twitter.
Sure. Well, I have options. I'm not sure what topic we're gonna do at Acapulco. You'll have to tell me. Recently, I've been speaking at conferences about just teaching people a little bit about trading and technical analysis and how to read charts. A lot of people see these traders put up these charts with candlesticks and trend lines and symbols on them, and a lot of people don't know what it means. So I break that down to the basics, and I kind of teach them and they show exactly what it means. That's one option. Another option is to talk about global economics and how Bitcoin fits, kind of like the things we just spoke. How I see the future shaping out with the next financial crisis, probably be a sovereign debt default, bond crisis, and what Bitcoin's role would be. So those are my two top options, and me and you will decide which one is better for the audience.
Great. And what's your blog and Twitter?
So my Twitter is Tone, TONE _LLT. That's the Twitter. And that the blog I started was libertylifetrail.com. I have not kept up with that blog. I started it last year. It was just going to be about personal responsibility, sound economics. Bitcoin was a big part of that. Also trading advice and travel, one of my favorite things to do. And I always stay Airbnb. I don't like hotels. I don't like to do the tourist thing. So I started the blog, wanted to do a lot with it, but right after that, a website called Cointelegraph, which is one of the top 3 or 4 Bitcoin news websites. They picked me up. They do these awesome cover art for all the articles. And I've only had time to write on there between the job and all the Bitcoin stuff I do after work. But I'm going to pick up my blog again and try to maintain that as well. But those are the 2 places where you can look for my writing: Cointelegraph, author Tone Vays, or Liberty Life Trail, which I'm gonna allocate the time, and I'm gonna get that going once again.
That's great. So another interesting person going to be coming down to Acapulco. If you don't know about it and you're listening on the radio around the world, it's just ANARCHAPULCO.com. If you get anything close to that on Google, you'll find it. It's really going to be a lot of Bitcoin people here, a lot of cryptocurrency people, a lot of people talking about the next generation of cryptocurrencies and all sorts of Bitcoin 2.0 opportunities. People like Roger Ver is going to be here, Cody Wilson, so many great people. The entire Mexican Bitcoin community. We just had Max Kaiser down here. He was checking it out. He's now a huge fan of Acapulco, and he's thinking about coming, but I don't know if he can because he's over there in London and he's quite busy. But he's promoting it now on his program, so you'll be hearing about it there. So lots of really cool people coming here. Lots of really interesting people. This is not going to be boring at all. There's going to be so many incredibly interesting minds and people doing really interesting things. So I definitely check it out. It's just February 27th to March 1st, right on the beach, right behind me in Acapulco, Mexico, and it's going to be great. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. That's how we can spread these ideas and get this information out there. So I'd like to thank Tone, and I'll see you in about a month, Tone. Looking forward to it. And that's been it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
This is Anarchast.